Anakin and Tahiri are off on an adventure to the distant moon of Yavin 8. There, they will help their alien friend Lyric join the Elders, the adults of her race. To do it, she must go through a strange and wonderful change, and when it is over, Lyric won't look anything like her old self. But Anakin and Tahiri are in for an even bigger surprise. Deep within the caves of Lyric's world are carvings that match the ones they found in the temple on Yavin 4. If they can read them, they might be able to break the curse of the mysterious Golden Globe and defeat the dark side of the Force. But there is something waiting for them down in the caves, something large and dangerous, and it will take more than the Force to defeat it.
Hello, younglings, and welcome back to Padawan Library, this Star Wars junior novel podcast. I'm Levi Paratic. With me is Tim May.
Hey.
And joining us this week is my wife, Mel Lyon.
Oh, I get an intro this week.
You got an intro last week, didn't you?
Kind of.
You came perilously close to Borat voice when you said my wife.
I know. I
Golden's like a hacky podcast joke to quote my wife.
Actually,
Golden Globe winner, Sacha Baron Cohen.
Highest roasting documentary of all time.
He had to have come close to winning on the first movie, too, I feel like.
Oh, yeah, I agree. In terms of that category, yeah, but...
I mean, the first one, it's a better movie. The second one is maybe a more interesting object, I'll say.
I haven't seen it. So.
I haven't seen either of
wild
them.
stuff in the second one. Anyway, we don't need to go down that rabbit hole.
But this week...
Speaking of a decade later sequel... Although this is literally a decade, that was a little longer, but this week we're reviewing, of course, Junior Jedi Knights #2, Lyric's World. And
by Nancy Richardson.
Last week we did the first Junior Jedi Knights book, which was called The Golden Globe.
The Golden Globe.
And we reviewed a film that was nominated for Best Golden Globe. Best Golden Globe.
Yes, Best Golden Globe. That's definitely what I give that movie.
Best Picture, Musical, or Comedy in 2008 called Mamma Mia. Now, there was a sequel to Mamma Mia called Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again. Now, 3 of 4 words of that subtitle are part of the lyrics to the film, to the song Mamma Mia. And this book is called Lyric's World. So we figured, why not follow up with Mamma Mia 2, or Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again.
And Tim, you are hot off of this movie. Before we started recording, you described that you are beaming from after watching this movie.
You can see, like, the afterglow.
You can see the excitement on it. That is the excitement that any, like, wine-drinking mother would get while watching this movie.
It's true. Now, and for the listeners who don't know, I don't drink, but the experience... You're
also not a mom.
And I'm not... Well, who knows, maybe.
Or any sort of parent. You say who knows?
Who knows, man? If the Mamma Mia franchise has taught me anything, we never know. But anyway...
You can never be too certain.
Anyway, so there was... Good Lord.
Oh my! Of the 3 dads in this movie, I want there to be like a 3 Men and the Baby remake with like Pierce Brosnan and Skarsgård. I just like those.
Stellan was. We'll get it. Stellan is the MVP of the dads for sure. Well, unless you count a different. Is he a dad or We don't know really. It's not made clear. We'll get to it anyway.
Oh man!
So this film, go back last week and listen to our conversation about the first one. I don't want to recap the first one, but this film picks up what I thought was real time 10 years later, but I think it's just 5.
It is just 5.
Which,
yeah.
The timeline. Let's get this stuff out of the way first. Okay, so
there's a lot.
This film has a Godfather 2-like structure, in which it has a present-day story involving Amanda Seyfried's character, who's the daughter of Meryl Streep's character, and Donna, and okay, and even I love the movie, but
we don't have to be on a first name basis with these characters.
Donna,
I refer
Sophie.
to them by the actors' names. Thank you. They don't need to know them. So Amanda Seyfried is trying to reopen her mother's hotel.
Her Greece hotel.
Greek hotel. Greek
her
island
Grecian
getaway.
hotel.
And so she, her mother died a year before the film starts. So Meryl Streep is barely in this movie. We'll get to her appearance in a minute.
It's also never revealed how she died.
No, but there's once you get to a certain age, there's a million things that can get you. We all know this.
Get you.
It's just so tragic because
we're all
she
starting to
died so
feel
young.
that specter. We all know.
She was so full of life.
She was so young and so full of life.
Yeah, I agree. But I
Running
actually
in
think
those hills.
I think her lack of significant appearance in this movie is a benefit to the movie. Not a diss on Meryl Streep, but I just think that it opens up the movie to allow for more featured players. She's such the center of almost any movie she's in these days. So I feel like it's, anyway, so there's and then also it then flashes back to the summer that the first Mamma Mia is referring to, the summer of 1979. All right.
79. Okay.
There's a year on the screen. So 1979.
Well, it happens really fast too. Like we just get right into the flashback timeline. Like right after the first scene,
it's
we're
not
into
like
the
Godfather
flashback.
2 where you have large chunks.
Mm-hmm.
Godfather 2 doesn't constantly cut back and forth. Like you get a lot of time with Vito, and then a lot of time in the present with Michael. So it's like. Or whatever, I guess it's the 60s. You know what I mean. Yeah. So the not 60s, 50s. Anyway.
Yes.
And 60s, late 60s, early 70s. That's Godfather 3, right? Or Mario Puzo's The Godfather Coda, The Death of Michael Corleone, as it is now known. I have that on Blu-ray. I need to watch this. Anyway, I'm all over the place. I'm so okay. So, and it goes back to that summer that we talked about, our last summer, as you might say. And so then, so it basically just intercutting through these things. Amanda is seemingly somewhat estranged from her husband, who is Dominic West from the first movie.
Now let's do this. Let's get into the drama here. Let's go to Lily James.
Okay, well, hold on, because there's more drama. There's a very important plot element that we're missing, is that she's having this big event for the opening of the thing.
Yes.
And that's
the big reopening.
Yeah.
They're preparing this event.
The grand reopening.
And she hired a manager for the hotel, and the manager... Speaking of Mario Puzo's The Godfather Coda, The Death of Michael Corleone. Speaking of that film...
See, you were getting there, Tim. You were getting there.
Yeah, speaking of it, this manager is played by Andy Garcia in a fucking tour de force performance. First of all, I love Andy Garcia. Really. I feel like he kind of, he always seemed like he should have been a star, but because people were like lukewarm on Godfather 3, like he didn't get the real opportunity, but like such a handsome man, and such
he sure is,
and like very charismatic, and I just so I'm very happy. I'm happy he got his own Godfather 2, because I was reading about that there was, which I didn't know this. This is very off topic, but there was a Godfather 4 screenplay that was done and ready to go into production in 1999.
I didn't know that.
With Coppola directing, and it was going to have Andy Garcia and DiCaprio was cast in it in some role.
What?
Like, this was, like, ready to go, and after Mario Puzo died, Coppola was like, I've lost the will to make it.
Wow.
And I'm like, if you had made that movie, you would still be making movies, because you would have had at least one hit in the last 20 years, my guy. But whatever.
He has a very successful wine business now.
He's doing great. I love the filmmaker.
Don't worry, Tim.
Oh, speaking of which, while we're on the topic of Coppola.
No, shit.
I knocked your headphone out.
I actually have
for Valentine's Day.
Okay, I have a Coppola-related thing that I want to talk about at the end of this Mamma Mia conversation. But
okay, this is also Coppola related.
You got the wine.
Once, okay, I don't know. I've never. Well, Mel bought me a bottle of Coppola's Sophia champagne.
Oh, is it Coppola naming a champagne after Sophia, or is it Sophia directing this?
No, this is Coppola doing it.
Oh, well, shout out.
It's called Sophia. It's a Brule Rosé. The year is 2018. The year this movie came out, Mamma Mia came out. And around the edge of the the label, he has all these words that I feel like he wrote to describe Sophia.
Yes, he wrote them personally and not some... PR, HR.
So the words that he uses to describe Sophia on here are reactionary, poetic, sparkling, exuberant, effervescent, fragrant, cold, cool, coming of age, bestowing of presence, revolutionary, reactionary.
Well,
so I think
reactionary.
Okay.
I actually think that's a pretty astute description of her as a filmmaker.
I don't know. It could
cool
be
and cold.
Like the wine.
I would definitely say there's a coolness to Sophia Coppola. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, come on. Marie Antoinette's a cool movie.
She's literally cool, but I think there's an emotional coolness to her movies, undeniably.
Mm-hmm.
I love them, but.
And
anyway, what I was going to say about
Marie Antoinette is about a revolution, making her revolutionary. So
yeah, totally.
I mean, she's a significant filmmaker culturally. I don't know. Revolutionary is always a weird name to put on anybody, but that's not like literally a revolutionary. But I would say the reason what I was hinting towards is that I actually think if they make Mamma Mia 3 to go along with the jump in just pure like aesthetic quality from 1 to 2, the jump from 2 to 3 has to be even better. And I think that the world of Mamma Mia would be very well directed by Sofia Coppola.
By Sofia Coppola, yes.
Like the lifestyle stuff is incredible with her. I definitely want her, and she loves pop music. She would kill it.
It's a perfect fit.
And
it's perfect.
I will say this, on the Wikipedia page, not the Wikipedia page, in June 2020, Judy Kramer announced that a third film is in development.
Oh, yes!
With the producer confirming that new ABBA songs are being written for the band's reunion and will be featured in the soundtrack.
See, I actually want to talk about this. This is... Okay, so they've been ABBA, they've been hinting at maybe doing some vague reunion situation for a couple years now, and they were never gonna. They made it very clear they were never gonna perform live. But there was a whole thing a couple years ago. I don't know if this ever actually happened, where they were at the end of this year we're gonna release one song, not as a single for an upcoming album, but one ABBA song. We've been working on it for a year or whatever. And I love ABBA, and I love Benny and Bjorn. They're legendary songwriters. But, those motherfuckers haven't written a song that's mattered at all since ABBA broke up.
Yeah.
And it's not even... And it is mostly because they haven't done anything. It's not I think I think one of them put out a solo record, in the late 80s or something. But I think that's it. So it's they are two of the greatest pop songwriters of all time, undeniably. They have banger after banger after banger, but I don't need there's still plenty deep. They could go deeper in the actual existing catalog still.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They've only used 25 songs maybe total.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. Eagle Will Fly's not on in any of them yet.
I mean, listen, this movie they use Fernando, which is obviously one of the iconic great ABBA songs.
Mm-hmm. And there's
they
only
have
a
to
couple.
Stretch so hard to use it.
Yeah.
Well, then let's talk about the joke there because it made me giggle.
All right, I'm going to say my feelings up front. Just broadly.
Okay. Let us have it.
I think the first hour of this movie is incredible.
I agree.
I'm not talking about I had a good time and it was fun. I did. Believe me, it was fun. I had a great time. But I think the first hour is grade A Hollywood entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
The last 40 minutes, much closer to the first movie in vibe. It's fun, but and the filmmaking is of a higher caliber in general.
Mm-hmm.
But
and the choreography and the dancers are all
literally every aspect of the filmmaking is better. It is.
They definitely learned from their mistakes.
Dramatically better. I mean, a different director.
Mm-hmm.
I think but the first hour where you're really rooted a lot in that summer of '79, and you got the and the back and forth, and there's real emotional weight even to the present day stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That stuff is just actually pretty effective. Obviously, you need to have seen the first movie for the emotional stuff to work at all, but it's just it retroactively makes the first movie better. The last half is fine. It's just much closer to the first movie in vibe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I will say this: the first hour, the movie opens with, we've alluded to this already. Donna is the valedictorian of her graduating class.
Didn't get valedictorian vibes from her in the first movie. To
yeah.
Maybe that's just because she was a middle-aged drunk, but
There's a little.
We're friends. We're friends.
Yeah, the character kind of did take an interesting backstory turn.
Yeah,
there.
but she's a valedictorian, and she gets up on stage with Donna and the Dynamos and sings "When I Kissed the Teacher," and it's did she actually kiss one of her teachers?
We're not gonna explain it. Just don't think about
but
it.
But it is such an upbeat song, song for us to enter on, and then after that.
Also, I was shocked they used it because that's not a worldwide ABBA hit. That was a hit in a couple countries, but it was not a hit in the U.S. For example.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a deep cut, but it's a secondary ABBA single.
Yeah.
And certainly not one they needed to use. I think it's a very good song. I like it.
Well, the fact that they're doing a sequel, they're what situational songs do we have to work with? So,
it's really that could be its own musical there. You could have done Mamma Mia all around that,
Oh yeah, I think this just on a story level is so much better. And it's just so much more it's this is what you should have done the first time. Not the Godfather 2 part, but the flashback stuff.
Right.
It's the clear musical. I get the idea of she doesn't know. I get the comedy of manners stuff that is there's the potential for in the original premise, but and maybe it works better on stage. But But that stuff in the first movie is kind of just goofy.
I agree with you. Mamma Mia 2 feels more like a well-constructed musical than Mamma Mia 1 does.
I mean, it's a way better musical. The songs, by and large, until the last half hour when it becomes just basically a review, are far better incorporated to the plot.
And also, too, because the second song, After I Kissed the Teacher, is
One of Us.
Well, One of Us.
Which is back in the present with Amanda Seyfried and Dominic West. He's in New York, and he's gotten a job offer there, and looks like they might get a divorce or something.
They might get... Well, they never got married.
Oh, they never got married, but they might break up.
Remember, Donna got married at the end of Mamma Mia. But the use of One of Us there is fantastic.
Yeah.
Also,
and it's an interesting
5 ABBA song, by the way.
Yeah, and it's an interesting musical set piece where it is more emotional, but it shows you something different than your traditional musical.
They do a good job. They use split screens and but I will say, before the musical number started, when they were just talking on the phone, I thought that Dominic West was like only going to be in this scene. And
I thought he was.
They just like went to his New York apartment and shot. like that's what I thought happened at first. But no, obviously he winds up showing up later. But the movie starts, like only Pierce Brosnan of her three dads is there because remember he got married to Donna, so he's still living on the island. And her other two dads are off doing other stuff, and like they're not going to be there for the opening supposedly. But guess what? They show up. We don't need to go deep on the story. I just kind of want to talk about some of these numbers.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And then we have to talk about the last 20 minutes because something big happens, obviously. And I think we can have a nice, fun conversation about that. But Waterloo was an absurd sequence, but it was extremely well done.
It was an absurd sequence because that's our first repeat song.
Yeah, I mean, it was better incorporated here than it was in the first one.
I agree.
I feel it's only in the first one because
the sequence is way better in this, and then this is the what's his name?
This is the Colin Firth.
Colin Firth song, the young Colin Firth. Young Colin Firth is played by Hugh Skinner, who I thought of the three dads, he was the most resemblance.
Yeah,
of all
that
of
guy
them.
could have a good career as
and
playing
also,
young Colin
but let's
Firth.
actually
he can be like that kid from Age of Adeline that played young Harrison Ford.
Yeah, exactly.
Now let's talk about Harry Bright here, who is a British businessman, possible Sophia's father. Harry here, in this flashback, because they allude that he's gay at the end of the first movie.
Yeah, in this flashback, I think it's clear that he has never had sex with a woman.
Right.
Yeah. So he's kind of questioning. After they do the deed, after she kind of does the deed with him, because he begs and sings Waterloo,
although
which convinces
she's so
her
into it by the end, it's fine.
Yeah, right.
I mean, why wouldn't she be? If that literally happened, I mean, that's an amazing thing.
Dancing with waiters, that's the key to any woman's heart.
An amazing thing that just happened.
But he chases after her, and then he never shows up again.
Well, he tries.
He tries
to
because. This is a wild part of the movie. He tries to, and there's a guy that's stamping passports or something.
Oh, I know this guy.
Shows up in both time periods and doesn't age.
Doesn't age, and he's always talking about people's hair.
Yeah, he's always I like your hair shorter. Or him and Colin Firth have a weird flirty thing happening. That I thought they were going to pay off more. Did you see the post-credits scene?
Yes.
So, the post-credits scene where he sings "Take a Chance on Me," the first few bars of "Take a Chance on Me" about Colin Firth.
Oh, okay. I thought he was just being silly.
Okay.
But then it becomes a blooper though, because then he tells the director to call cut or whatever. So I mean, that's very first Mamma Mia, the lines between reality and fiction.
Yes.
Which is the first Mamma Mia is one of the great
especially because it's the
made.
same joke they did with "Take a Chance on Me" in the first movie.
Yeah, kind of. But anyway, so the sequence in the summer is she meets him. They do this Waterloo sequence, which is extremely well done.
It's very cool.
One of the better movie musical sequences I've seen in
and it's crazy that there's just nothing like that at all in the first one whatsoever.
I was very impressed, honestly. And then Why Did It Have to Be Me was this thing where she gets to Greece. She's on young Stellan Skarsgård's boat.
Who is played by Josh Dillon.
Josh Dillon, wow. That's quite a Disney Channel heartthrob.
That's quite a first name, last name.
Yeah.
Last name, first name.
And so...
Who kind of looks like Stellan Skarsgård.
He does. He looks like... I mean, if you look at young Stellan Skarsgård, extremely handsome man. Not that he's not still handsome, just, very conventionally attractive. And that sequence I thought was very good because then also Colin Firth, Hugh Skinner shows up and is behind and sees that she's gone off on the boat with this dude, so he leaves. So then why did it have to be another great ABBA song? They did they went to like disc 2 of ABBA Gold, and it's like that's where you'll find lots of like the songs you don't hear everywhere, but like are still obviously massive hits, you know, at the time. So, and and then I thought like, oh, how about when Lily James or Meryl, young Donna, they're at this restaurant on the island, and there's a band. And
the band sequence. I really like this sequence.
Where the guy's singing Kisses of Fire, and then like, and he's just kind of like this, you know, swarthy Greek guy. And then she gets up and sings a Dante, and that sequence is incredible. I was I love that song. Oh, man. And then the thing I was most disappointed in, I will say, is when young Pierce shows up, who's Jeremy Irvine, aka Mr. Warhorse. Which I would like that he was introduced via helping her save a horse from a crumbling building. I did like that. Shouts to Warhorse, a movie that I like
horse
quite
actor,
a bit.
that guy.
But anyway, they did Knowing Me, Knowing You, which is one of my favorite ABBA songs, of course. Yeah. But I thought that sequence was cut short. I was like, I wanted more from that song because that's a song that was missing from the first one. And I feel like that's like a towering ABBA song.
Yeah.
If former guest of this show, Sam McCauley, did that at karaoke once, and it brought the fucking house down. And I was just like in shock at how good. Like he was just like walking up and down the aisles, just like everyone was blown away. Like strangers were just like cheering, yes. Anyway, so love that. And then Angel Eyes, you know, they had to give something to Christine Baranski and what's her face, Julie Walters.
Yes.
And you know, that was fine. I like that song, but like, I thought that sequence was okay. It was just like basically them telling her that Dominic West is this piece of shit or whatever, and then he shows up like literally 5 seconds later in the movie, so it doesn't even feel like it lands. And then they do Mamma Mia again.
Well, why I feel like things don't like sort of land is because like the story that's being told in the present is like, you know, it's going to end in a happy ending. Like this party's going to happen. Yeah. And in the flashback, you know how that story ends too.
Yeah,
like
you've been told already.
You've been told already. So like the two don't like that. Like even though the flashback stuff is like some of the best stuff in the movie. Like, it's still, like, you know, the end, like, it just falters at the end, so, because there's not really an end to the story, because it becomes Mamma
Mia. It also,
Mia.
like, the problem with it, I kind of wonder if it, you know, this is no shot at any of the cast of the original movie, really, like, I was happy to see all of them again. I was shocked by how like invested I was and everything. But for something so low stakes, Jesus, like oh no, like we only got normal people to come to our hotel opening party. We didn't get a bunch of millionaires. That was like a weird like. Anyway, so, very, you know, these are like luxury porn movies, which is fine, and there's a place for that. But it's just like. Some wild shit. Anyway, so I thought like if they had just done a prequel, like even though we would know the ending and everything, they could have devoted just more dramatic time to each of the breakups, which I felt like were just kind of like such foregone conclusions that the filmmakers even were like, well, everybody knows what's going to happen, so we don't need to spend any real time on this, which I thought was the real problem. But I will say that there's just an ecstatic beauty to the first hour of this movie. Even though with the wild cutting back and forth, the sequences are just so strong. I was like, if they fucking nail this, I'm going to be so happy. But then Colin and Stellan show up in the present. Mm-hmm. We got Dancing Queen again, which, you know, never going to...
It's a staple. It's
always going to be happy.
You're going to see an ABBA movie, I don't think you'll mind Dancing Queen.
We get Dancing Queen with 5 yachts.
Yeah.
And each one of them is full of professional dancers doing a choreographed dance
impressive.
On what is definitely helicopter shots.
Not drone bullshit. I will say
this movie did have $25 million more than the last movie, so it did have a bigger budget.
And no Meryl.
Well,
it has Meryl.
Oh well.
We'll get to Meryl.
Not as much Meryl.
But
spoiler! Oh my god.
I already said that she was in the movie. Dancing Queen, though, I'll say, listen, I'm always down for that song, obviously. But, okay, so they show up, and everybody's, there had been a storm the night before, and that seemed like it was going to ruin it, but of course, it doesn't matter at all. It means that the millionaires can't come in because the storm prevented their planes.
In classic musical plot.
And it's solved because Colin and Stellan find a bunch of fishermen who are out of work.
That was amazing. Well, we have to talk about that because that's from a flashback sequence. There was this sequence where young Stellan and young Meryl are about to arrive at the island, and they run into a stranded boat, and this guy is like, the love of my life is about to get married to this rich douchebag, and I need to go get her before it happens. Can you please pull my boat along? And then he when they get close to shore, he dives in to dive after her, and then she dives in with the full wedding dress on. It's beautiful, and everybody's just so happy. And then later in the movie, Stellan shows up and is on his way to the island, and he runs into that guy, and he's just like, "Do you remember me?" And and he starts screaming his wife's name. And they're like, "Yes!" The most beautiful moment of either of our lives, basically. And so and then they but then the guy's just "Oh, how's your life?" And he's like, "It's been fine, but we're fishermen, and man, fuck. We're out of work. These fucking
the economy fell or whatever.
The economy's in shambles.
And Stellan is just well, do you want to have a good night? You can come to this super ritzy fucking party for free. Come with me. And they're all like, yes. And so all the guests are real people, motherfucker, not these millionaires or these alluded to millionaires. And then, so this all is setting up. Okay, we got to backtrack slightly. Meryl's mother was referred to a couple times early on in this movie.
In the end, in the first one.
Yeah,
the first time. So there is some
relationship.
The first time we hear about her in the first movie is Meryl calls herself a slut, and her friends are just like, "Oh, you sound like your mother." So it's we get a rough opinion of what the mother is like. That
doesn't track with the mother we get in this movie. But whatever.
And this movie alludes that she's a performer.
She's in Las Vegas. Yeah. She's a performer. All right. But she's not invited, but somehow Dominic West, who came back for the thing, he apparently got a hold of her somehow, and she's coming. She comes on a helicopter, and she reveals herself to be, of course, Cher. Now, a couple things I want to say up front. I love Cher. Love. Huge fan. As a singer, and especially as an actress in the 1980s. Love Moonstruck, love Silkwood, in which she plays a person that's supposed to be the same age as Meryl Streep, and they're lovers in that movie. But anyway, it's and then I love mermaids. I love Cher. But she hasn't acted in a while. I think Burlesque might have been her last movie.
Burlesque was her previous movie before this.
Which is a terrible movie, by the way.
And this, Burlesque is weak as hell.
It's watered down showgirls.
Fun, but it's not fun.
No.
Yeah, no, it's not fun at all.
It's that it has that same level of musical color correction that Mamma Mia has.
It's from the same exact era.
Yeah, same era.
But this is the first movie that Meryl and Cher have been in together since the 2003 comedy Stuck on You.
They're in that?
Yes. Cher plays herself. She is third build in the movie.
That makes sense. Cher is up for that kind of thing. I'm surprised that Meryl, at that moment in her career,
Well, she just has a cameo.
She's a cameo.
She kind of did her loosening up thing a few years later, I feel like. But I guess that's when it starts, I suppose.
But yeah, this is a cameo. She has a cameo with a whole bunch of other people in the movie.
Sure.
So
I never saw Stuck on You.
I saw Stuck on You.
I remember thinking at the time, like, Damon and Greg Kinnear is a weird choice.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if it was Damon and Affleck, I would have seen that movie 100 times, probably. But
well, Kinnear's what makes it great, because then
I love Kinnear, actually.
Kinnear follows this up with, like, Little Miss Sunshine, and then is, like, on fire after
Kinnear,
that.
A side note, Kinnear, like, you know, he wasn't,
I forgot Stuck on You as a Farley Brothers movie.
Yeah, Farley Brothers, yeah. That was before they were, like, that was still when, like, you were like, maybe, like, I mean, 90s Farley Brothers, those movies are all really good, but I will say, Greg Kinnear, people forget in the movie As Good as It Gets, which is a movie that I have complicated feelings about, but the performances are good. He is incredible in that movie. That is like a shockingly, like, for a late 90s, like, gay friend character, very impressively drawn, both by him and by James L. Brooks. Like, not at all the same as, like, most of those kinds of characters. So I'll give them a little credit on that.
My introduction to Kinnear is in Mystery Men, the superhero movie starring Paul Rubens, Ben Stiller, William H. Macy, Kel Mitchell, legend.
Stacked cast, Janine.
Janine, yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, there's...
Jeffrey Rush is in that movie,
that's
too.
That's one of those movies that, like, you're like, this... Like, I remember at the time I was very excited to see it, and I remember seeing it once and thinking it was fine, and then... Every few years, I'll be like, is that like a secret classic? Like, it should be. Like, it has the vibe that it should be. And then, like, you watch, like, 10 minutes of it and you're like, this is just kind of... You know, and I like that era of, you know, most of those people. It's just like, it's just, yeah. Anyway.
It didn't work, so... But do you want to hear about the album sales of Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again?
Did Here We Go... I want to know if Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again, the soundtrack album, or the Cher ABBA tribute album, which one charted better?
Okay,
that
I'll
came
have
out
to look
the
that
same
up.
year. Do you know about this?
No, I don't.
A full tribute album. That was her last record that came out. And it was like a fairly big deal.
Oh, wow, Dancing Queen.
She did One of Us on it, and it's actually a very good Cher version of One of Us. But, yeah. Anyway,
but,
I'll...
It doesn't... Okay, let's see.
I'm sure it didn't chart as high.
Probably not. I will say this, though. Okay, the soundtrack is certified gold in Denmark, New Zealand, Poland. It is platinum in the UK, and in the US, it's none of those things.
Well, the album sales are still kind of a thing in other parts of the world.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, in the US, they're basically nothing. But there are other parts of the world, they're still kind of... they kind of matter still to some degree. I will say that this Cher moment, she steps off the helicopter, Cher's looking great, you know, got the like, you know, stark white hair, like white/blonde situation.
It's so funny, we watched this with my mother-in-law, and before she takes the glasses off, my mother-in-law goes, "Is that Lady Gaga?"
Lady Gaga will one day be Cher.
I agree. One day.
And Mamma Mia 3.
Oh.
You know who needs to be in Mamma Mia 3? Madonna.
Yeah.
Time has come. First of all, her last like really good hit was "Hung Up," which interpolates an ABBA song.
Mm-hmm.
That's 2006 or something. And she should just have a cameo in the next Mamma Mia. Like,
and then
she can be like Donna's sister or something.
And then, there could be a sister.
Although, if
that she never knew about, because
if we were still hosting this podcast when the Madonna biopic directed by Madonna, if that were coming out, oh man, we do a full episode on it.
You will have a whole month dedicated to just that.
I mean, there's no movie I'm more excited about. That's like That's going to be wild. I can't wait for that. I wish that more of these musicians would just be like, yeah, I'll just do it myself. Then I don't. Then people can't even get mad if it's inaccurate. They're like, oh, it's just like a rock star autobiography. Whatever, fine.
Right.
You know. So like she can do all the myth making she fucking wants in the movie, which I can't wait. I can't wait.
Yeah.
Sell me the fucking myth, Madonna. Anyway, if listeners don't know, Madonna's like probably like a top 5 artist for me, so anyway, and somebody should do like this experience these last 2 weeks has made me want like all of my favorite artists to have a terrible jukebox musical.
Yeah, right.
I used to hate this form, but like I will say, if it was an artist, it's an artist I care about, like ABBA, and there's other artists I care about. I want, and especially because it's so like weird. It's not just like telling the story of the band with like musical numbers.
Yeah,
or, like,
it's a whole
like the Temptations one,
completely unrelated. Yeah,
yeah, like it's just like its own story. It has its own universe, and for some reason, the only way these people can communicate is through ABBA songs, which I love.
It's a beautiful, beautiful thing.
It is. I will say,
and it is kind of crazy that more people don't like do that. Yeah.
One of the dads, right, was supposed to have been like a punk. Not
I think that isn't that Harry?
Harry Headbanger.
Yeah.
And the
which
only,
he really isn't.
Yeah. The only allusion to that is that he has a guitar. None of them actually look like they do in the flashback. Like there's some retconning of the canon, like between the first 2 movies.
I'll say this: we got to talk about the Cher sequence quick. She sings. She notices Andy Garcia, and Andy Garcia's like, back in 1959, we fucked. And I'm like, Andy Garcia was how old in 1959? Also, like, Cher even, I think, was like probably like 14, 15 years old. And, and Andy Garcia might have like just been born. I think he's like my parents' age. And like so whatever. It's who cares? But so apparently they knew each other. His name is Fernando.
He was born in 56. He would have been 3 years old.
So yeah, I was gonna say I thought he was around.
Can you hear the drums, Fernando?
And so they realize his name's Fernando. They sing Fernando, and you get the vague impression that they're trying to imply that he is Meryl's mother or father.
Yeah.
Makes no fucking sense.
Zero.
Because here's the other thing: 59. So she would be born when? Late 59, early 60.
Yeah.
So she'd be 19 when she graduated from college. I guess that she really is a valedictorian.
Right.
And I mean, the timeline makes no sense. I guess this movie takes place in 2003 or something. That's all I can think of. But they have smartphones. So it's none of it makes sense. It's fine though. And then that sequence, the Fernando sequence is fun. It's fun to hear Cher and Andy Garcia do a duet. Weird, but fun.
It's great.
And then the movie kind of ends with this sequence where 9 months later, because Amanda Seyfried reveals that she's pregnant.
Yeah.
So then it goes to 9 months later, and we got Lily James, and then it shows in the flashback Lily James taking young baby Amanda into a church to get her baptized, and then she goes up to the baptismal font, sees her reflection. Boom! It's Ghost Meryl. We cut back to the present. Ghost Meryl is watching Amanda come up down the aisle, and she's singing what is it? My Love, My Life, which a fine song, not top tier ABBA, but
every mom in the audience was crying during this song.
And it's just it ends, and then the credits. It's beautiful. In the credits, we get Super Trooper, a reprise of that from the first movie, and it's everyone in the cast. You got people dancing with their younger counterparts, a delightful and way better end credit sequence, because the end credit sequence of the first one is probably the low point of that movie. Kind of just what are we doing here? I don't know. I'm with you. At that point, I was but this end credit sequence, perfect. like it just captures the vibe. It's like you see everybody. Pierce, I gotta say, he just sang an extremely slow version of
SOS.
Of SOS, like extremely slow, completely
one line of it,
completely a cappella. Where he's just looking at old pictures of Lily James.
That made me laugh that it was Lily James.
That really looked like they should be like hanging up in a Hollister in like 2008 somewhere.
I was like, couldn't they have just gotten some old film stock and taken some pictures of Lily James?
No, these are like digitally printed, like high resolution
I don't get
photographs.
why this happens in huge budget movies. I'm like, this is not technology that's that expensive. We're talking about $100, like buy an old camera. Like it's like I don't get it. Like,
I also love like when you look around the hotel because the hotel's all remodeled now. That there are like photos of Meryl on the wall, but they're like most definitely like posed photos taken of her for like publicity reasons. Like while they like filmed this movie.
You have those photos of Lily James, and there's a center photo of Meryl, and it's clearly like. Just like they shot a double and then photoshopped her face on it, and like I'm just like, you didn't have anything from the first movie that you could have just used.
Yeah.
Anything you could have taken a screenshot like, from anywhere.
These kinds of little production design things about this kind of stuff drives me fucking crazy. I gotta say, like I'm just like, I could do that. Like if I wanted to create an old photograph for like one of our dumb fucking movies. I promise you I could make one that looks like a real old photograph. You know how you do it? You just take it on a 35mm film camera and get it developed. It'll cost a little more than it used to, I guess, but it's not like... This is a movie that was, what, $40 million movie probably?
Yeah.
No, this was a $75 million movie.
Man, the money's on the screen except for in this specific case. Like, I don't understand.
Yeah. The first movie was a $50 million movie. This was a $75 million movie. This movie does not have the returns that the first one did, but it's still a huge success. It made $375 million.
It made a lot still worldwide, but it was kind of a disappointment in the U.S. If I recall, like, if I remember from a couple years ago when it came out.
Right, but it was 10 years later, it was pushing it for a sequel, but
I love the
sequel delivers in the craziest way, though.
It is one of the weirdest things ever, because it is a much better movie, basically across the board, than the first one, which is pretty unusual for any sequel. And especially for a sequel to a movie that is bad. Like, the first movie, we had a good time talking about it. I enjoy thinking about its world and its universe, but it's not a good movie. I think this is a pretty good movie. It has some dumb stuff in it, but I think like if this roughly had been what the first movie was, then I think it would be a pretty well respected, like fun, like movie that people like. Totally. Like they didn't make fun of. I mean,
what's funny is the fact that like while the first movie had like so much star power, like it kind of has like this low budget like feel to it.
Well, it's just a bunch of like fairly big stars like on vacation together. It has that which is part of the charm. Like it's certainly fun to watch like these people like so loose on screen. It's like I gotta say, like I don't think I've ever seen like some of these people that loose on screen. That doesn't mean that it's like
Meryl was jumping up and down, like like the amount of movement,
jumping in water.
Listen, that's been Meryl's entire vibe for the last 15 years. To be fair, like in a lot of, not all of her movies, but in a lot of her movies, But this is like the text of it. Like it's like the ultimate version, and like. And she's fun in that movie. Like I don't even have a problem with her performance, but it's like a weird. It is weird to see her like that, especially I think in the context of that moment, because she had just done Devil Wears Prada, but like, and that's like a comic performance, but that's a very specific like she's doing like that's still a serious performance, even though it's a comedic performance. Like she's very committed. She feels so like I don't care in Mamma Mia, which is very weird. Like, you just don't, you're not used to that, so.
Right, not from Meryl.
And also, too, I texted you about this already, but the listeners need to know, if you need more Mamma Mia, the soundtrack has tracks on it that were not in the movie, including The Day Before You Came, performed by Meryl, so that's... and there's an extra Meryl song, so if you need more.
So weird. I don't want to be too hyperbolic here, but it's like very impressive as a sequel. There are very few sequels that improve upon the original to this degree. That does not mean it's like,
No,
I'll totally be honest. Movie. After seeing the first, Mamma Mia, I was not excited about this sequel, but then it turned out okay. Yeah. I was very pleasantly surprised. For being a dark, gritty sequel.
If somebody were to ask me, what do you think of the Mamma Mia movies? I'm going to say they're kind of flawed, but I love them.
I agree. I love that. I love to. But they're both you gotta see both of them though.
As a
to work, you gotta see the first one.
As an intellectual property, oh my god, Disney needs to be all over this.
Buy ABBA. Buy
Mamma Mia ride.
Yeah.
There was a whole thing where it's
Epcot could have a whole Mamma Mia thing,
right?
They could do the Grease, do Mamma Mia Grease, and then just do ABBA for Sweden.
Yeah.
Yes,
so
there we go.
Gonna be offended.
Yeah.
And listen, Benny and Bjorn deserve all the credit for Swedish pop, and obviously they invented modern pop music. Max Martin and all those people wouldn't exist without ABBA. So, shouts to
Benny and Bjorn.
Yeah, my Canes. Anyway, and one of them's in the teacher sequence, is one of the teachers on the day.
Yeah, that's what I thought, too.
And then the other one's the piano player, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
So funny.
It's on Wikipedia.
All right. We've been talking now for almost 50 minutes about Mamma Mia. Here we go again.
Mamma Mia, too.
I said I was going to put a timestamp on last week's episode, and I didn't, and I'm not going to do it this time either. Motherfucker, keep hitting that 15 seconds if you have to. It is what it is.
Wait, is this your surprise?
No.
But
there was something else about Coppola you wanted to bring up.
Yeah.
No, that was the Sophia thing. If they make 3 of us, I want Sophia corrected. I think that would be amazing.
Yeah, it's the only way the third one could be better than the second.
I was also thinking the third one could also take the route of, if we give this movie a ton of money, they could take the route of The Irishman, and we should be doing young.
Oh my god, yes.
Oh man, I would. Well, the de-aging. I mean, they already have all these young cast members. I actually want to see. I think the way to go is maybe do a midquel where we see Donna and young kid Sophie and and do some story set during that period. I think.
I was also thinking too, in terms of a sequel, Sophia's daughter, Donna's granddaughter, is
That's probably what it'll be.
Yeah, they have to Sophia's got to go, and she leaves the 3 dads with the kids.
Oh,
this is
do a stealth 3 Men and a Baby remake. Yes. Okay.
Yes, I know, because I wanted more with the dads, because they have a storyline, the 3 of them together in the first one, and they have such an awkward chemistry with each other, but it's great, especially all the goat house stuff and everything. Oh, yeah, give me a movie with more of them. I want more dad.
Yeah, we'll see.
Mamma Mia, 3 Men and a Baby.
Oh. Perfect. Thank you, Mel. Okay. Well, next week we're doing the 3rd Junior Jedi Knights, which is called Promises. Haven't really thought about this. Do you have any ideas for this?
I have no ideas.
You make me promises. Yeah, you know that song? Promises.
I do.
Is that what it is?
See, you keep singing this too, and I don't know the song either.
What more can I say? Could be confusing 2 completely different songs together.
Oh, are you thinking of Poker Face? Because there's a thing in
Poker Face.
Promises, something, because I'm marvelous.
The bridge of Poker Face?
Yeah.
No,
that's not what I was thinking of.
Okay.
But that is the line from that song.
All right, I'm just looking up Promises. Oh, there is a song called Promises, Promises by a band called Naked Eyes.
Okay, that's probably it. You make me...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That sound right? I can't play anymore. Okay.
All right. Yeah.
I don't want to get marked on YouTube, so all right.
Are we reviewing that song next week?
Yes,
No, we're not doing that. We got to figure it out. I don't know. I feel like there's movies with
there has to be
in the
something.
I mean, I don't want to watch Eastern
Isn't there a movie
Promises.
like Unkept Promises?
There's a movie called Eastern Promises with Viggo Mortensen as a naked Russian gangster.
Let's do it.
Isn't that a David Cronenberg flick?
Yeah, it might be a little intense for like it'll be pretty intense whiplash for a
Because isn't that his follow? That's his follow-up to History of Violence too.
It's a
So
good movie. I haven't seen it since like it came out, but I remember thinking it was good. All I remember is the naked fighting scene.
Okay, we have a movie from 1963 called Promises, Promises.
Okay, who's
Let's see
in
who.
it? What do we got?
Let's find out.
Who
It's
directed
loading. Okay, it
wow.
stars
Oh,
Jane
my
Mansfield.
goodness.
Okay.
And it is directed by King Donovan. After a drunken killing spree on a cruise ship, two women discover that they're pregnant and set to find out who the fathers are.
Oh my god!
So
it ties into Mamma Mia.
It is Mamma Mia 3.
Is it at least available for rental? Something like.
Let's find out. Okay, we can. Okay, it is included on Prime. It does say that on IMDb.
You know
so,
what? I don't know. That sounds fun.
It does
Yeah,
sound fun.
right.
It's
It
just
might
like
be a
Mamma
bad
Mia.
movie, but if it's bad, we can finally have a short opening.
Yeah.
All right, so Promises for 1967.
Yeah, no, it's 63.
63.
Yeah, it's 63. Yep.
Yes.
It has. Let's see what the. Oh, okay. I'm not going to reveal the IMDb score of the movie.
Okay.
So, but
Reveal
yep.
it. Is it
Yep,
positive
okay.
or negative? Would you say?
Mid. Okay. But the poster here, it says, "You've read about her in Playboy magazine. Now see all of James Mansfield in Promises, Promises, Uncut, Uncensored."
Oh.
Oh my!
Europe. Oh, that's the European version, apparently.
Wow.
1963. Like that's
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before I feel like that would actually be a thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's
So.
interesting. I'm curious about it. All right. Well.
All right. That's
we'll
it.
watch
Promises, Promises. Next week with The Promise.
How long is it?
It is an hour 15. Perfect.
Oh.
Oh,
Yes.
That's such a good running
That,
time.
what a sense of relief. Okay. So when we come back, we will be talking about Lyrics World, the second book in the Junior Jedi Knights series, and it'll be a fun conversation. So
It will be.
Stay tuned,
Stay tuned.
everybody. Welcome back to Padawan Library. I'm Tim May here, as always, with Levi Paratic.
Hello.
And our guest this week, and last week, and probably next week, too, I think.
I think so, yeah. If you'll have me.
Yeah.
I'll be here.
Mel Lyon, how you doing?
Here I am. Hello.
Good stuff. So this week,
Yay.
Lyrics World, the second book in Junior Jedi Knights, which I'm excited to talk about.
I have information on Nancy this week.
Let's talk about it. I want to hear
All right. All right. So
Get
Nancy
right into it.
is an author, of course. And according to her website, I can't find like a Wikipedia article on her. She has written 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 books. These 3 books. Yes.
Yeah.
Most recently, she wrote 2 young adult books, one called When Elephants Fly, the other one is The Speed of Falling Objects. These are both HarperCollins books.
Is When Elephants Fly like a young adult Dumbo or something?
No, it doesn't look like it. It has a spiral staircase.
It's just
When
a
Elephants...
reference to Dumbo.
Okay, Lily Decker is a high school senior with a 12-year plan. Avoid stress, drugs, alcohol, boyfriends, take regular psych
so it's
quizzes.
not Dumbo, got it.
Yeah, not
No,
Dumbo.
not quite.
But most of her books are sports autobiographies that she co-written.
Oh, with
She
who?
has
Which
co-written.
athletes?
Well, I think her most notable one. This is the one I know is Apollo Ono.
Okay.
Yep.
Big deal.
And then we also
Olympian
have.
legend.
Yep, it's a lot of Olympians. We have Shannon Miller, gold medal gymnast. We have Julie Crone, who is a horse rider.
Okay.
There's a name for that.
Monica.
Yeah, Monica something who plays tennis. I can't, they're little tiny, images. Nadia Kamensi, who also looks like a gymnast. So, yeah, it's a lot of, gymnasts, a lot of Olympians, actually. So,
Very cool.
That's what... Yep. And a little...
What a neat job that must be. I'm just going to help people write their autobiographies.
A lot of people do that, but that's a big business.
Yeah.
I would,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I would love to do that. Did
go
anyone
ahead.
want to reach out to me? Tokyo's happening supposedly this summer. I am stoked. Olympians, reach out to Tim May, PadawanLibrary@gmail.com.
Yes.
I will write your autobiography.
There we go.
Mm-hmm. And then once you're all done with the book, you can get it proofread and edited by Tom Huddleston of Adventures in Wild Space.
Very
you could.
exciting. We might actually be able to look that up, actually, pretty easily. Anyway, so
Okay, and I have more information on Nancy, real quick.
Okay,
Nancy Richardson Fisher is a name that's added on her website. She was born on the East Coast, went to Cornell. After Cornell, she worked as a writer for Ringling Brothers, which is kind of cool. She says she learned that when elephants sneeze, it's a very messy. After this, she moved to Aspen, where she worked as a waitress at a Mexican restaurant. And then after Aspen, she moved to San Francisco, where she worked as a writer for UCLA. And then she wrote, this is what it says, wrote freelance for Lucasfilm. So
that must be how she got this gig.
That's probably it's probably just I would assume.
Mm-hmm. She said at USSF, she worked at University of California, San Francisco. I learned that sitting in a cubicle under fluorescent lights dulls my soul. Lucasfilm taught me that writing freelance, especially fiction, is fun. Then in parentheses, fun in capital letters. Oh, so I headed to graduate. Yep. And then after she wrote these books, she went to graduate school in Boulder, Colorado. So that's.
Nice.
Yep, so that's George just making lives better.
I'm sure he hired her directly.
George's impact.
I'm sure that
gave her the writing job. And
I'm sure the publishing division, the youth publishing division, he had real direct control over.
Well, Paul and Hollis say that they were personally chosen by George.
They were classmates of Paul Schrader. That's a total, and that was the first. I don't know. Come on. and she worked on publicity for Schindler's List's Oscar campaign. He probably literally knew them. So that's a different situation, I think. Anyway, that's the Jedi Prince people for people that don't know. All right. So let's just get. Do we have any other
Nope, that's it.
All right. So we left off last week where Ikrit, the little creature, has told Anakin Solo. By the way, there's a typo at the very beginning.
Yes, chapter 1.
Did you notice that right away, Tim?
I was like, Anakin Skywalker. I was like, oh, no, there's a typo.
That's so funny.
They say Anakin Skywalker studied the girl in the front row of the grand audience chamber. And it starts that, and you're like, "Oh shit! Is this some weird flashback with Anakin Skywalker?" No, it's just Anakin Solo.
Classic
just a typo.
Anakin.
The editor didn't catch it.
Let's talk about this for a minute. Anakin studying girls. Anakin seems to have something with the lady.
Well, and apparently there's only girls that go to this Jedi Academy.
Yeah, but. He's always noticing eye color and hair color. They always bring up the hair color. So
I will say this kind of book you'll often read very basic physical descriptions because it's just it's written for a younger audience. We are adults reading books written for 8-year-olds. Let's keep that in mind. Anyway, Anakin has been told by Ikrit that the kid's trapped in the Golden Globe. He can't save them if he tells Luke about it. Weird situation.
The globe will shatter, losing all of the children's souls kept within
Ikrit's felt some sort of premonition. We don't know. Ikrit doesn't really appear in this book, so we'll get back to that eventually.
He just stays in Anakin's room?
Yeah, he shows up beginning at the end.
So
And R2 not a character in this book either.
Yeah. There's no mention of R2, huh?
Well, okay, so this girl that he's watching is a girl named, what's her name again? Lyric.
Lyric
herself. And she's from Yavin 8, the 8th moon of Yavin, I suppose, and
well, actually, there's Yavin 0 as well. So it's technically like the 9th.
Like, it was very, like, I was confused by the Yavin system, I gotta say, in this book. Anyway, so she's from some world called Yavin 8, whether that's a moon or I don't know what it is. Anyway, so they anyway, so she has been at the temple briefly, but needs to go through. She's like Spock, like in Amok Time. She has to go through her, some sort of coming of age ritual.
Her changing.
Yeah.
They call it her changing is the word.
Yeah,
they
like
use
this
for
is
it.
a very classic sci-fi
Her puberty
premise.
metaphor.
Yeah, where you have like an alien character needs to go back to their home world to go through some sort of puberty situation.
And she's a melody. That's the name of her species, is a melody. They're humanoid looking, apparently, in their youth. They're born out of eggs. Literal eggs is what they're born out of. And then when they become, quote, elders, or the puberty, they become mermaids, basically. Yeah. Their legs fuse together, and they have a fin, and they develop gills.
So they become underwater creatures.
Yes, and Yavin 8 is a planet of beasties.
Okay, well...
And
it's like Australia. There's so many things
there
there
are a
that
lot
can
of
kill you.
beasties. There's many different creatures. Rattle some of them off for me.
Okay, we have
There's
spiders. Reels, which is a snake.
Which is
what's on the cover of this book.
Yes.
And then there's the Purellas are
the spiders.
And then there's wraiths, which are like rats, and avrils, which are the birds.
Okay, okay, I have something to say about avrils, okay? So, let's just...
I'm so impressed we named all of them.
I can't believe
We
it.
did it.
Avrils, that's an important one. And, I stopped reading the book when the first big Avril set piece, and I wrote this, so...
Okay.
Why'd you have to go and write about so many beasties? They're really boring, and no offense, Nancy, the prose is pretty creaky. Ack. They have claws, the kids brawl with some snakes, and you break my interest when the villains all lack a personality and some motives beyond just snacking. No.
Wow. Amazing. That's our surprise?
That's
the surprise.
That's our surprise.
I
That's
spent a half
great.
hour writing that for some reason. All right.
That's fantastic.
That's incredible.
No, it totally was worth it, Tim. You totally spent your time very wisely.
Because it was spelled exactly like Avril Lavigne.
Yes, that's the joke. Yes, thank you for explaining the joke. I think our listeners are in the exact age bracket. They'll know exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah.
We didn't need to say anything.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also a popular song. I think even if you're older or younger, you probably know the song. Anyway, moving on.
You know some
yeah, totally.
So although there's some real, book criticism in here too, I will say, why do you have to go and write about so many beasties?
All beasties.
This book is all beasties, and there's some stuff I liked in this book, but beastie battles, the listeners know. I get it.
See, I have to disagree with you there, Tim. I like the beastie battles so much more than the Jedi Temple challenge from the last book, where it's just like, oh, these walls are gross and there's glitter now, and that's it.
But they went down. But that has the journey down the river.
There's so much more character.
But this is like a journey with things attacking them, and it's the battles are cool.
I just feel like
how they use the Force to
You're not as
we're jumping ahead. But...
You're not as burned out on beasties as we are.
That's probably fair.
I guess
that's actually probably fair. I'll say my main issue with beastie battles in most of these kinds of books is not so much that I'm against the idea of it. It's just that often they get lost in just describing the creature.
Yeah.
And I really feel like they don't.
Well, I will. This book does something interesting in that we have 2 chapters, the prologue, and then there's a chapter that is from the point of view of the beastie.
Yeah,
from the spider.
That's a very
that was actually kind
choice.
of fun. I liked that part.
Yeah, because the prologue is like super dark, talking about like how the Avril likes to just like kill its victims slowly.
Very Shelob-esque. Like it was like I thought. I mean, there's not. The problem is, it's also I just feel like you get lost in it, and like I lose the characters. Often in these moments, because like even when the story is boring, if the characters are having interesting moments together, like if like even if the setting is kind of uninteresting and the conflict is uninteresting, that can get me through it more than just like, oh, this is a big action scene where like nothing that happens affects them as people. I feel like.
Right.
Well, even with the scene that is depicted on the cover with the reels?
The reels.
Yeah, the giant snake, where they battle the giant snake. There's a moment here where Anakin does something that's very Anakin-like, Anakin Skywalker, and in order to defeat the snake, he reaches out with the Force and tries to slow its heart down, and actually ends up killing the creature, like, with the Force.
Yeah, that was such a moment. And can I just say, like, it would be really crazy, like, effed up, like, in a different universe, if somebody used the Force to, like, heal a giant snake, maybe, instead of like that would just be like even weirder.
Wow, JJ.
I'm so glad that
JJ was
exist.
so bothered. He was so bothered by the fact that Anakin killed that snake.
Anything, and
I know. I didn't build it up enough.
I had no clue what you were talking about. I remember now. Yes, thank you. Serpent. 3PO. Right? That 3PO is the best part of that movie by far.
Yeah,
he's very fun. He has lots of good lines.
Yeah, such a friend.
Right. Well, Babu Frick. He's my first. He's my first friend.
Babu Frick's a fucking legend. I like him too.
Yeah, he's the only good
we
thing.
should explain why they are on Yavin 8.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm surprised you brought up the beasties early. I was expecting that to happen deeper in the conversation, so I wasn't quite.
Right.
That's why if I stumbled over the first couple lines, that's why.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, Anakin, he is in class and he is drawing the symbols that he saw at the Temple of the Woolly Mander, where the Golden Globe is, and he's just drawing them from memory. And then Lyric comes over because he's like, "Ooh, a pretty lady. I'm gonna walk over to her." He goes over to her, and she's like, "Oh, I've seen symbols like that on my home planet of Yavin 8." So immediately, Tahiri, who we have not mentioned by name yet, Tahiri and Anakin convince Uncle Luke Skywalker to let them go to Yavin 8. And it doesn't take much for Luke to get convinced to let the children go.
He's kind of a pushover.
Yeah.
He's a little bit of a pushover.
Luke is a total pushover.
He's conflicted because he thinks if he lets the kid do too much, that Leia's going to be pissed, but probably also is thinking, like, if I don't let him do anything, she's going to be like, why are you treating my kid any differently, you know?
Yep. Mm-hmm. So they go to Yavin 8, and they go with a character by the name of Old Peckham.
I'm going to say Puckham, I would say.
Puckham up. But Puckham, he drops him off there, and he goes, "Oh crap! I totally forgot this shipment I had to pick up. Will you kids be okay when if I leave you here?" And Anakin's like, "Sure, dude, no problem."
The guy's just like, "I don't know. I don't think Luke Skywalker would like it." And Anakin's just like, "He'd be fine." And the guy's like, "Sounds good to me." It's ridiculous. So they get there. They fight an Avril. And that takes like 15 chapters or something. That's, I was writing the song the entire time I was reading it in my head. And I was, if I had more time, I would have done the whole thing and done a karaoke version. It would have been incredible.
Wow.
It would have been great.
I was so excited. I was like, shit. I thought of this too late because I read the book today. So.
And this sort of has something to do with this song, but I was talking to our friend recently, Zach,
friend of the podcast,
local
author Zach Owen,
and Tommy Shannon too. We were discussing the "Complicated" song by Weird Al and how incredible the "Complicated" song is.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot that he did that. Yeah, that is very good.
Why'd you have to go and make me so constipated?
Yes, a classic.
Because right now I do anything to just get my bowels evacuated. Next week.
Yeah, I'll do whatever. There's that song off the second record that was on VH1 all the time that I'm fucking forgetting about. What is it? Oh shit, I don't remember. Anyway. Why
can't I breathe whenever I think about you?
Yes,
Why can't I
classic. I mean, I was always more of a Michelle Branch person, of course, but I mean, that album still holds the fuck up. That's a great record. Anyway, what were we talking about?
So they go
the Avril battle.
Okay, they go because Lyric, who is a melody, lyrics and melody. This melody she had when they go through
music and lyrics for this week.
We should have great movie.
That's a very good movie.
That the one song in that pop goes my heart, pop goes my heart. That song is so.
Yeah, we're not going to find another place for it. Oh well, I'm happy to talk about Mamma Mia.
Yeah,
our whole world has gotten so much larger. Like I feel like we are living in like a brighter universe now that like we have
taken your first step into a larger world.
They fight Avrils, which are like a bird creature, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they find the portal.
They fight wraiths. And
wait, at one point didn't Lyric say that sometimes like an Avril will just carry her away?
Okay. Well, first off, she got taken by an Avril as a kid.
Yeah, and she just had to fight her way.
And she escaped because she like made the sound of like the young, and she escaped that way. But then, as soon as they get back to Yavin 8, she gets kidnapped by an Avril again, and that like prompts Anakin and Thierry to have to go save her. Like.
So they wind up. They have to find the portal to Lyric's world, which is like a, because it's underwater, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then she winds up starting this process, whatever it's called, the changing, and she's like in a pod or whatever, and they meet this other melody named Sana, right?
Sana, yeah.
Santa? I thought it was Santa, like Hannah with an S.
Oh, well,
but Sana? Oh, no, because Sana is like Sana.
It's fine. Mm-hmm. It's fine. Either is fine.
It's fine.
It's a made-up name, I think we can say. Not that I know there's actual people named Sana, I just mean in this book it is a made-up name. We don't need to.
Yes.
There's no official pronunciation. Alright, so then there's...
Sana, they sense the Force in Sana.
Yes.
When they fight off some giant rats.
All right.
And then eventually...
Some wraiths.
Yeah.
There's giant rats. And then this all leads in Lyric completing the transformation. They take her to the Elder Water Bay. And then she says, you guys can come with me and talk to the elders because you want to know what these symbols mean. So... they put this algae bubble over their head so that they can go underwater, and Tahiri learns how to swim in this moment.
Oh, she doesn't really learn.
No, because
they pull her
they
down.
Just pull
they
her.
can breathe underwater, so they just kind of pull her. She doesn't, it doesn't matter if you can't swim if you can breathe underwater.
Right, that's true.
Which, Tim, you can swim, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. I don't know why this is like a...
I know. For some reason, I thought you couldn't swim, but it's fine.
I've literally swam in the pool, you guys.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But then I was like, do I remember Tim swimming?
Before. It's not even...
Yeah, I know, right?
Anyway, so...
Okay, They speak to the elder. The elder Guile. Yes. Wait, no, or is Guile
Guile's
Lyric's dad?
Yeah, Guile.
Yeah, Aragon.
Like
Aragon.
Guile from Street Fighter.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
Oh, so are you like super into Street Fighter now? Because I remember a few years ago, you had never played Street Fighter 2, and I like beat you like 10 times in a row in it, and you got very mad at me.
Oh, classic.
Won't stop talking about Street Fighter.
A college roommate was obsessed with Guile's theme, so that's all I'll tell. You can probably figure out who the roommate was.
Why do you have to ruin things I like? Yeah,
I'm sorry. You don't have to think about it ever again. Just take that memory and throw it right out.
I get it. Annoying people like good things sometimes. It's fine.
Yeah, it sucks, doesn't it?
It
totally sucks. They ruin it for the rest of us.
I mean, what? He's someone who died with the past for us, so it doesn't matter. All right.
Forget the past. Kill it if you have
to. Okay.
Wait, what's that from?
Movie that I like.
That's a good one,
It's
Tim.
a good one. It's the good
movie.
Okay.
That's from the good one. Anyway, I said that 3 times in a row. Okay. So what's going on in the book?
Guile, and then Aragorn.
So Aragorn tells them what he thinks.
I was like that.
Yeah. He tells them what he remembers his mother telling him the message said, and the message was basically
they like have to.
I thought this was very silly too.
They have to pull this out of him because he's like, I heard this 100 years ago. Literally 100 years ago. I don't remember. And, I remember hearing something about it, but, my guys, my kids, these are, this was 100 years ago. I'm not going to remember the specifics.
Yeah.
And they're like, we can help you. And they don't, use the Force to probe his mind. They're just like...
No, they don't.
Think hard. And he's like, actually... I remember this full paragraph of what it says.
Word for word. And they even ask him about something about the stories and stuff, and he said there was some other group of people here that we had to help or whatever.
The Masasi came here.
Yeah, no, but he doesn't even call them the Masasi, but then when he remembers his whole paragraph, then he remembers what they were called.
Let me find this whole paragraph.
Yeah, look that up, because I swear.
Okay, so the idea is the Masasi came to Yavin 8 looking for help. Because they needed to help themselves because they were enslaved and they had to help their children. However, the Melodies could not help because they're fish people. They can't leave the planet. So they wrote messages on their purple rocks for somebody else to come and see. So the message that Aragorn, this is, my mother told me this symbol's read, peace to all. We are the Masasi. We beg the ones who read this message to travel to the fourth moon. Break the curse that the evil Jedi Knight Exar Kun made to enslave the Masasi and imprison our children. We cannot break the curse ourselves, but we leave a message in our place to those who can.
Exar Kun is the ultimate, and listen, I know, lots of our listeners know everything about Exar Kun, and they want to, throw up on us when we talk about it this way, but Exar Kun to me, just reminds me of just, it's the ultimate, vague knowledge of something that's, deep in lore. When I was a kid, there's a thing, where it's, even though this is widely available information, but because I have not read these texts, I'm completely unaware of it. I've just heard the name floating, To use another example, in the late 90s when I was getting into Dragon Ball Z, I won't go deep on this, I'm just saying, there were, all the stuff had been published in Japan already. The story was available. And, people had read it and even posted about it in English. So, but you would get these, little missives, so this is something that happens later. And, kids would try to impress each other on the playground with, things they knew that hadn't aired in America yet. And it's kind of the same thing where, with amongst, the Star Wars kids, there was oh, I know about Exar Kun, I know about, you'd be well, I know about Grand Admiral Thrawn, and they're what a baby's toy that is, you know what I mean? They would, they would just try to one-up each other, it felt like the ultimate, nerd one-upsmanship in, 1998, if you were into Star Wars, was, if you were, dropping Exar Kun facts, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Wow, Exar Kun is still canon.
Major character. I'm well aware that he is a very significant character. I know he's a big Sith guy, and I vaguely
Dark Jedi actually, Tim.
Whatever.
Yeah, get it?
You know what? I'll actually
friggin' straight.
I'll straight up tell you, I did not know who this was.
Yeah,
really?
no.
But what makes him
I know he's
what makes him canon?
Oh,
though,
he's in Solo.
No, hang on. I'll get there. In the 2018, same year, Mamma Mia,
And Solo.
Here We Go Again came out. Same year as that bottle of Sophia we got.
Wait another
The
year
Art
or
of
so.
The Art of Solo, a Star Wars story. There's an obsidian stone that's used as the base of the crime lord Dryden Voss's desk, and written on it is Exar Kun. It was apparently plundered by the Voss from the Sith temple. So
okay, well that makes sense. You know, that movie kind of canonized a bunch of like deep dork expanded universe stuff.
Oh, the Mind Harp of Sharu.
Yeah, all kinds of shit. So let's get back to the book. The guy sends them, and they're like, "Oh, okay, well, thank you for saving our kids. You know, head out here, and Lyric's gonna stay behind. But Sana is like, I'll walk you. Like, they want to go back to the. They want to find those engravings again and try to.
Yes.
Because he gave them the translation of it, basically. They want to try to copy it down and try to create a code back when they get back to Yavin 4 that helps them decode the messages on Yavin 4. So, but these messages are in the deep pits of the spider. What's the spider?
Yes, the spider.
The Purella.
The Purella, yes.
Such a funny name.
Tim, get it together.
The Purella's lair, and Sana's like, I'll take you to the entrance, but I'm not going with you. And she says something great, like
she says some dramatic ass shit.
Says,
like
I would
moment.
risk my life for you, but but going there is embracing death. Like I was like, oh,
She's 9 years old.
Embracing death. Like I was like, damn. She is hard as hell. All right,
look at Yavin 8.
she's
you
like
have
Lil
to grow up
Nas
kind
or
of
something.
tough on
She's
Yavin 8.
She's like
You
literally
literally
like
are born
dropping Nas bars from Illmatic right now. Like I'm gonna embrace death. Like it's like it's so fucking crazy. Like I mean, I guess she lives in a pretty rough environment, so maybe you know. But 9 is still pretty young.
Yeah.
But it's go
Such
ahead.
a badass.
Go ahead.
I mean, yeah, and so she leads them there, and they go in without her, and they have an extremely long beastie battle with
the Purella.
The Purella is like thinking, it's just like, I can't wait to like fucking crush these humans. Basically.
Yeah, Anakin burns her at one point, and she's just like, I'm going to make him suffer.
Which is pretty funny. That stuff was entertaining, that we got the perspective of the beastie, which I appreciate actually, and goes against one of my lyrics from the Complicated.
Yeah, thank goodness for that.
So they they basically they defeat or they escape basically, but they
use the Force to lift the web because they get caught in the web, and then they like drop it so the Purella gets itself stuck in the web, and then they're just like, all right, we got the spider out, how are we going to get ourselves out? And then Tahiri's like, oh, I have a pocket knife, and then they
multi-tool, you mean?
A multi-tool, yeah, and they use the multi-tool to saw themselves out. Yeah, and then they're running out of
vibro pocket knife.
Then they're running out of the cave. They're running out of the cave. It's pitch black because they don't have like a torch, and they run into something, and it's like this big cliffhanger where you think, oh no, another beastie. Turns out it's Santa. They run into her. Santa's like, I came back. I couldn't, like, I needed to come back for you guys.
And no, but the reason she came back is she wants to return to Yavin 4 with them and go to the Jedi Academy because she wants to train and come back and help protect her people who are obviously very vulnerable in this world.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, okay, we're not sure if Uncle Luke will be okay with that, and there's like a lot of consternation about this, and they get back to the ship, they get back to what's his face.
Puckham,
and Puckham's like, oh shit, I was looking for you, whatever, let's go.
Yeah.
And they go, and they land on Yavin 4. Luke greets them. Luke's like, Jesus, you guys are a mess, like, looking at, and like, go to the doctor, get some back-to-tank shit going, like, Leia's gonna kill me, all this shit. And then, but then they bring up, like, well, okay, first of all, he doesn't want Luke to know about
the carvings,
their code breaking activities. So he tells Sana to not tell him, and she's like, "Fine, like I just want to be a Jedi, basically." And I should definitely start that
and embrace death.
I should definitely start that. I should definitely start like my path towards being a Jedi on a lie. That's a good idea. So she agrees to that. They tell Luke, and Luke's like, okay, let me meet her. And then, like, they think he's going to be, like, so, like, against the idea. And he's like, I mean, if she came her own free will and everything's fine, then whatever. Sure, let's talk to her. And then, basically, she winds up, he surprises them. And it's like, look, she's in her little prisoner's outfit, orange jumpsuit. That's one thing we didn't talk about last week that is very weird, that they wear orange jumpsuits.
They all wear orange jumpsuits,
yep.
Except for the teachers.
Very weird.
But Luke, he goes to talk to the children afterwards, and they think, so I'll just read here. Luke studied Anakin's young face. He hoped his nephew understood the gravity of the situation he had just survived. I'm pleased that Lyric survived the changing and is now an elder, Master Luke continued. However, we must discuss Sana. Anakin's heart sank. Sana was being sent home. We're sorry, Uncle Luke, he began. It's just that we couldn't deny her the chance to help her people. Don't apologize, Luke interrupted. It is true that the melodies on Yavin 8 are unable to protect themselves well from predators that roam their moon. That is one of the reasons that Tyani brought Lyric to the Academy. Even though Lyric was close to the time of changing, Tyani recognized that she was strong in the Force. We had both hoped to teach Lyric enough so that she could return to her moon and help the melodies. And I think we have succeeded. Lyric will begin to seek those of her people who are sensitive in the Force and help them understand the Force. She understands it deeply, even though her time was short. Sana's time here will be much longer. Did you just say what I think you said? Tahiri cried. Before Luke could answer, Sana appeared in the doorway in an Orange Academy jumpsuit. Tahiri left towards her new friend and engulfed her in a hug. You were right. She is strong in the Force, Luke Skywalker said. He embraced the 3 Jedi candidates before he strode out of the room and left them alone.
I mean, sure. I mean, he's a proud papa. That's like,
do you think he gave Sana the test from like episode 1, and she's like a cup,
a speeder,
a ship,
the Rorschach
a ship.
Test. I would. I mean, obviously, like they didn't have the context of that. This is one of the lost opportunities of what they've done with the post-Jedi situation these days. Is that I do think like I'd be interested to see Luke really like. Learn about how they taught Jedi and like how he would do it differently. Like that's always been something interesting to me. They didn't really have that opportunity with this stuff because they couldn't contrast it with what we know from the prequels because they didn't exist yet. So it's a bummer. Yeah. We don't need to get into that, but that's like one of my main lost opportunities. Maybe
Johnny and Davy can fix this situation.
If they do, I don't. Well, we don't need to get into it. I'm not sure I want like a CGI Luke show, but I'd be fine.
No, I don't either.
I want an animated Luke show. I'd be fine with.
That would be cool.
If they want to do that,
totally.
I'm down for that. Anyway, we don't need to go.
Yeah, because Grogu exists. Like, Grogu is like a perfect animated character for that.
Yeah.
That's if they follow that story at all, I want it to be a cartoon. Because then, Hamill can do the voice.
No problem.
But I like, especially clearly, like we were like Mandalorian looks just like a movie, but it's like, oh, it's a TV budget, like because like they couldn't even get like Irishman level, and they certainly weren't getting Marvel level in terms of the de-aging. So whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway,
there's something about that final episode that I felt like kind of looks like. Because it's like because they're in the cockpit of whatever that Imperial Star Destroyer is, and I feel like you can really tell there's just screens outside the windows in that scene. Like it's like it doesn't look like, I don't know, it seems cheap. It seems TV-like in my opinion. So
it's fine. I'm fine if it looks a little TV-ish. It doesn't really bother me most of the time. But when it's something like the de-aging, like I don't think they can do that for a full episode or anything like that. So
right. Totally.
Okay, but
less is more.
We should talk about the ending here because then they spend some time trying to crack this code and they figure it out. I don't need to go into the details of how they figure out the code because who cares? But the
pretty dumb.
All right, but I'll read what it says because this is basically how it ends. So they figure out it says, "Peace to all. We are the Massassi. Our children have been imprisoned by the evil Jedi Knight, Exar Kun. Locked deep within this palace, hidden in the glittering sands of a golden globe, they await. The crystal that holds them prisoner can only be unlocked by children strong in the Force and dedicated to the battle of good over evil. If you are the ones, enter the globe and lead our children to freedom." So that's basically where we
enter the globe.
That's where we leave it, and we'll pick that story up next week in Promises, the third book in the series. So let's get into our final thoughts here.
Final thoughts, yep.
All right.
Mel, you want to go first?
Yeah, I liked the beastie battles.
Fair enough.
I thought they were okay. I thought it was cool how Anakin killed that snake with the Force and stuff.
A little dark, in my opinion.
It's a dark and gritty sequel.
It does open with that super dark Perella prologue.
Yeah, exactly.
I forgot that was the prologue, too. I remember the chapter, but I'd forgotten about that.
But
the changing is cool. I feel like they could have done more with that concept because this is like a character we've never met before who's like, and then we'll probably never see again. Also,
yeah, that's true. There's only 4 of these left, so So what?
You want to give it a ranking?
I guess I will give this one also a 7 out of 10.
All right.
Well. I know I went off on beasties in many different ways earlier in the episode, and I've gone off on beastie battles for much of
beasties. There's no way to keep track, but beastie battles have to be probably like the most common story element in all the books that we've read.
Yeah,
a beastie battle is like.
I think there's a reason for it, which is that real villains are hard to create for like original things that have consequence if you're depending on where in the timeline it's set, and these books can't really influence heavily what's going on. And then 2, they're like villains from the movies or from other like major books are usually not permitted to be used often in these books. So I think oftentimes it's like, you know what, let's just create some monsters that the characters can fight, and that's fine.
Off topic thing, just off top of your hand, of all the books we read, best villain.
Well, all the villains in the Jude books, Xanatos.
Xanatos, I agree.
I like Xanatos.
He's probably my number 1.
Probably Xanatos. I like Jenna San Arbor.
Grant Omega.
All the Jude villains are clearly the best. It's not even close.
Brock Chun.
Oh, the greatest villain of all.
Not technically a Jude character either, so I don't feel bad.
No, she's not.
I guess technically Xanatos isn't either, but because he's mentioned in the first book. But really, though. Not a huge Brooke Chun fan, but I
Are you kidding me? The trial of the murder of Brooke Chun?
There is great stuff involving Brooke Chun, but the character I never found very
right.
Like the circumstances surrounding Brooke Chun are always interesting and cool. Anyway, this book, I sounded maybe more down on it than I was. I thought the world was interesting. It felt the whole book felt very Star Trek to me, more so than Star Wars, which is fine. I love Star Trek, and not just because of the Spock reference I made earlier. That's a very common Star Trek thing, with aliens returning to their home worlds to go through coming-of-age rituals and stuff. And I liked all that stuff. I thought the vibe of the world was interesting. I enjoyed, it moved the plot along, certainly. I just don't think our two leads learned much about themselves in this book.
Yeah.
And it just felt like a bit of a placeholder. I gave the last one 8, so I want to go a little down from that. I'll go 7 out of 10 midi-chlorians.
All right.
Yeah, they were almost like secondary characters in this book, and like Tahiri especially, I feel like
she did nothing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because like we didn't even mention Tahiri by name until we were at least halfway through this review. So she really doesn't do a whole lot in this book.
Next book, I guess.
Next book, because we go back to Tatooine apparently in the next book, her home world. So I
didn't read the preview, but I'm very excited.
Yeah, but I'm. This book, I agree, it's a step down. So I'm,
It's a classic second episode of a TV show, where it's like, because it's often like a pilot is like, even if it doesn't work, it has some kinks in it. Like it's like they're putting their best foot forward, but the second episode is kind of like a restatement of the pilot, and like has to reintroduce everything. And then, like, usually it's the third, fourth episode of a show where things start to get cracking, if they're ever going to get cracking. So,
yeah. So I got nothing else to say. Puck 'em. 6 midi-chlorians.
Oh, I hope he comes back.
Yeah, I
hope he comes back.
I hope Puck 'em comes back too.
It's like a super, just always like, okay, kids, here you go. Let's go see this museum. Oh wait, I have something else to do. Don't get in trouble. Okay, I'm back, kids. What did you guys do? Wait, there's another Jedi kid here? Okay, sure.
Yeah.
2 kids, 3 kids, I don't know.
Puck 'em is the biggest pushover.
Oh, man. I'm enjoying this series, though, and I'm glad we're in this part of the timeline, just an area we've never explored.
Yeah.
So it's been fun. So next...
I've enjoyed Mamma Mia.
Oh, that was a great time.
I am putting it up there with, all the great movie universes, and I want more Mamma Mia. I don't want that franchise to die. So
I agree.
You think we'll get a Mamma? I guarantee that in our lifetime we will see a Mamma Mia remake.
A straight up remake?
Yeah.
A straight up remake, yeah.
I mean, maybe like I guess in our lifetime, if you mean like when we're old.
Yeah, we could be like 70.
Oh, we need to make a pact, the 3 of us. If we see anywhere locally that Mamma Mia is being performed like live, we should go see Mamma Mia.
Yeah,
that would be fun
to go to a live show of it.
I would love that.
God, I would love
that.
We should actually just look into it. I would take a road
just try to find it somewhere.
Yeah, like I'm sure there's some community theater in like fucking the Hamptons or something that does it every year or something.
Let's go.
All right. So yeah, next week though we're going to continue Junior Jedi Knights with Promises, and we're going to be reviewing the film Promises from 1963. And Mel will be back. It sounds like so.
Yeah,
she will
totally.
And
cool.
Just a quick announcement: the library will be closed the week after for spring break. So enjoy your spring break, guys.
Yeah, enjoy your spring break, kids.
So we'll talk about that more next week.
I might try to do
until
a stupid solo pod or something. We'll see.
Yes, do it.
So, because you guys are, going on a little trip, so we're. So yeah, and you're giving yourselves the week off, which is perfectly fine. So we'll see what happens. We'll talk about it next week. All right.
You'll talk about next week. So until the books are due back,
The library
Honey, oh, whoops. Oh, I talked
is
over
closed.
I'm sorry, I was just singing. It's fine. It's fine.
perfectly
Okay.
fine. The library
And the body.
closes now. Padawan Library is hosted and produced by Tim May and Levi Peretic. It is edited by Tim May. Our theme song is by The Astral Project. Our artwork is by Freddie Funbuns. Padawan Library is copyright 2021. Tim May and Levi Peretic. All rights reserved.